Welcome. It has been some time, about 2 weeks. There's been many major events. In that time, we have several different things to talk about tonight. Do this. We'll start over here. This is initially a live stream recording, and I'm checking my audio now. The audio is good. So, as I said, we've had several major events occur in the last 2 weeks. I've been real busy, especially working and getting things together. It's been a very interesting time the last 2 weeks, to be sure. So, speaking of that, we could start with the topic of everyone's talking about the end of TikTok. TikTok may really be ending soon. It's all over the news. People are questioning and thinking about what Trump may do to save it. It's a very interesting situation. It's a great starting point for this video as TikTok is so popular. Now we are on X here and make this a little clearer to see. There we go. So recently we had Elon Musk say the people of Greenland should decide their future, and I think they want to be part of America. So Elon and Trump, the new administration is pushing for Canada and Greenland to become part of the United States, which that would be huge and a massive strategic advantage against the East, especially Russia. There's just about no likelihood they could get close to the United States. It would be a massive strategic advantage for the United States. Then we had the Chinese. The Chinese started more activity with Taiwan. For those who don't know, recently the Chinese have been moving closer to Taiwan, and they've been surrounding it for months and planning an invasion on Taiwan. The main resource that's wanted in Taiwan are the chips. There's microchips, very advanced ones being manufactured in Taiwan. So that's a massive critical resource that the Chinese want. On top of all that, the United States and many NATO countries, there's a lot of alliance connections to Taiwan. So if Taiwan is invaded, NATO will have to get involved, and that's a whole nother situation, a whole nother front in World War III. So over here on X, we have from earthquake prediction, 70-hour warning. This was from some days ago, a few days ago now. A major earthquake is likely in Southern California, most likely in Los Angeles or Ventura County from the 12th to the 13th of this month, January. Foreshocks now hitting the warning area. So that was put up, and then I found out earlier part of Mexico was hit. They had over a 6.0 earthquake in Mexico. Where is it? Here it is. I forgot to repost it earlier. So we have a large earthquake in Mexico, 6.1 to 6.6. This was sometime yesterday. It's around 30 kilometers deep. So we have to always keep an eye on the West Coast. I agree with this guy on a lot of things to do with the weather. He's very vigilant when it comes to the weather. Moving on, we have this. This is one of my highest concerns at this time. This was also from sometime last night, yesterday. A massive coronal hole spanning a quarter, 1/4 of the sun's circumference opens, enabling unusually fast solar winds to race towards the Earth. That was from NASA. You can see there it's some image they provided. It's there. I think it's right here. They're talking about mainly. This entire thing looks like a coronal hole. This potentially could take out the power grid if it decides to strike the Earth, if it's Earth facing. So if these solar winds are all Earth facing and there's flares coming from it, it could take out the power grid. The power grid is very vulnerable, especially in the United States. It's not as vulnerable in other countries such as Russia and China. They're working on their infrastructure to prevent everything just going out with a simple solar flare, or they're EMP proofing a lot of their infrastructure there. So Russia and China have been doing a lot of preparation for grid down scenarios in World War III that is happening now. The United States hasn't been as much. It's very unprepared in comparison, not taking things as seriously some reason. Many people speculate that there's advanced alien technology within hidden bases such as Area 51, places like that, government black sites that just about no one knows about. So it's always good to be prepared for a grid down scenario. That's a very likely scenario this year. Now we have Russia offering assistance for the LA fires. We've had these massive fires in LA for days now. I'm sure you've seen on the mainstream news media, and it's been an absolute nightmarish scene in LA. As you can see there, there's live recording of the LA fires. I'm very careful about what to show on YouTube. There's all different guidelines. You even have to watch what you say at times. There's been these massive fires, though, in LA. People are really bringing up conspiracies and ideas about what caused that fire. They're saying it might be similar to what happened in Hawaii. The people with blue roofs weren't affected as much in I believe it was Maui, the Maui fires. The ones who had their roofs painted blue weren't affected as much. I saw in LA, they had some kind of paint on other roofs, like I believe it was a red color. They weren't affected. So there's lots of conspiracies and ideas going around about that whole LA fire situation. But this is interesting that Russia and Putin want to go into LA and assist putting out these fires, since it's gotten that out of control. Problem with that is letting Russians in on U.S. soil allows them to set up like they would set up military infrastructure. They would probably hide military infrastructure all throughout LA. Who knows what they would do if Russia was allowed to be on U.S. soil in LA helping put fires out. They have more of an agenda and ideas than to just put fires out. Once they're here, there's likely no getting them out. They would stay around until they are forced out. So that's a very, very interesting idea that Putin had, and who knows what he's really scheming. We also have, this isn't on the X page, the nuclear forces. Recently, they transmitted the highest priority nuclear codes. It's the equivalent of taking a weapon and about to ready it to fire, having the weapon loaded and about to fire. That's what the equivalent of what these nuclear codes being transmitted is. So that's never, I don't believe, happened in history. That nuclear codes have been transmitted over the nuclear forces radio, the ham radio frequencies. I've heard this from another source. It's definitely been confirmed. The nuclear forces are on some of the highest alert than ever before. We even have stealth bombers flying around and very much so on edge over this World War III situation and what Russia may try to do with their Oreshnik missiles. They may try to do another massive attack with those, since going into this, Ukraine fired deep strikes into Russia, once again crossing a massive red line that Putin and Russia has drawn. So everyone needs to keep on preparing for these grid down scenarios, World War III, and the winter that is here. And we've had a massive cold front that's just passing. All that snow and the cold that passed through the nation. Thankfully, it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be, though it did get quite cold. And there's massive snow totals all throughout the nation. This winter isn't over yet, so you could keep on preparing for massive cold fronts and blizzards that pass through the country, usually from the west, it seems, the northwest, and then it goes downward through the country. Now let me see if I can find the NOAA about the solar situation with the sun. Here it is. Nope. I'm looking. We have quite a few different things showing here. Not the easiest thing to find at the moment. I will show this page over here, though. This is the NOAA website. You can see this is the sun, a recording of it. There's more confirmation of how it's looking with that massive coronal hole. And yeah, that is about a quarter the size right there. And we have, looks like CMEs. This is what's to worry about. Coronal mass ejections. That looks like the sun and CMEs coming off of it. Then we have an aurora forecast. Looks pretty normal. Doesn't seem there's a geomagnetic storm that's on the way yet. Not planned. Let's see here. Pretty good so far with the CME situation. Definitely had to look into that more. That is a massive concern. We also have China. They're arming up more of their missiles. They're about to have over 1,500, I believe, nuclear capable missiles within the next 5 years to rival the United States more. That's what they're planning to do. Let me see what else I could find here. Oh, we have this about the Greenland situation. Greenland's prime minister says they would like to work with the United States on defense and, let's see here, and mining. So Greenland is starting to agree with the United States to work on defense and mining. So already Greenland, even their prime minister, is thinking about working with the United States and maybe merging at some point. Let's see what else I could find here. Once again, this is initially a live stream recording. And then I post it to YouTube. Just finding some more news here. I touched on a lot of the main points. I just got reminded. We have a very deadly virus moving through China. There's quite a few viruses going through China. It's spreading all throughout China. And many people are infected there by these viruses. That's another concern. Definitely be watching that a bit more. There's many people affected by it there. And the thing about this is that the Chinese, they still travel a lot throughout the world. That's how all these different viruses that they have going on there may spread all throughout the world. So we have to definitely keep an eye on that possible pandemic, such as the bird flu and all these other viruses that the Chinese have going around. So we'll be watching that TikTok situation and the Taiwan situation when it comes to China. Very interesting and very serious situations. Who knows how China is going to react when TikTok is taken down? They could just EMP the West. They could do a lot of different things out of rage when TikTok is taken down. So keep on preparing. We have a lot of different things going on. Even the Iran situation. Iran is preparing to be attacked by, say, NATO. Their nuclear facilities may be attacked by NATO at any moment, any day now. So there's a lot of different situations, several that I mentioned going on at once. It may seem quiet and far away here in the West and the United States. Oceans are hardly barriers anymore. missiles, missiles and viruses could easily get here to the United States. It doesn't matter whether there's the Pacific and Atlantic Ocean in between. There's airplanes. Many of these viruses are airborne, so when people are sneezing and coughing, it spreads. There's a lot to prepare for these days. Between those viruses, the nuclear war possibility, and we have a possible grid down scenario with the sun, as the sun is acting up as I showed you here, with that massive coronal hole. That's about a quarter of the sun's circumference. So we'll see what happens with all of these things. And keep on prepping. Get things now while you can before it becomes much more difficult when SHTF arrives. Love, light, and blessings to you all. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting the channel. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I will be back a lot sooner than 2 weeks. Once again, thanks for watching. I hope to see you all very soon.